Hi, this is Umbreon Libris with day 13 of my Pokémon Violet Adventure Journal. You probably saw a couple of cool Pokémon on the thumbnail, but like me, you are going to have to wait until the end of the video for me to talk about them. Because I started the day by trying to figure out how to evolve Charcadet, but it did not go smoothly. The first thing I did was go look for Mela at the starbase, hoping that she would be able to give me some kind of clue, but she wasn't there, and in fact the place was completely lifeless. There was a few grunts standing around and talking to each other, and a few items lying on the ground, but this whole area just has nothing in it anymore. No wild Pokemon, no battles, and this kind of thing would feel more normal in previous games where team bases are usually indoor locations. In this case where it's just open, it feels really weird to have this place be basically empty. I did also check if Mela happened to be at the school. That was the only other place that I thought to look for her, but no luck. So that was my one Charcadet evolution lead, going completely dry. So I knew that either it was something that I couldn't achieve yet, or it was something that I missed. So I'd have to wait until Indigo got home to be able to ask her for a hint. In the meantime, I went back to making my way from Medali to Cascarafa, very slowly exploring the landscape, hoping to get to the next gym. I spent quite a bit of time on this, but only a few interesting things happened along the way. The first one is that at one point when I was heading back to the Pokemon Center in Medali, I drove past a Dedenne, which I didn't have yet, so I quickly turned around and engaged it in battle, and it wasn't there. Completely invisible. This is probably the worst in-battle bug that I've encountered so far. It didn't make it unplayable or anything, but it was kind of funny battling a Pokemon that wasn't there. It only appeared on the field when I threw a Pokeball at it. And when it broke out of my first Pokeball, it quickly popped up into the field, but then again wasn't there. But I did catch it on, I think, my second try, and thankfully it did not disappear anymore. Then my Tinkaton evolved into Tinkaton. I love that it's a tiny Pokemon with an enormous weapon and just carrying it over a shoulder single-handed. It's awesome. They think the hairstyle looks great, so I can really see why so many people love this Pokemon. It's one of the best final stages that I've seen from this generation so far. And finally, I found a third different kind of Tauros. I thought the horns and the tail looked kind of awkward, but whoa, it's a Ditto. I guess I got a pretty decent look at what the Tauros looks like, but I will have to wait a little longer to actually catch one. By the time I arrived in Cascarafa, Indigo had gotten home from work. So I made a quick visit to the Pokemon Center just to have it marked as a fly destination. I praised the Pokemon Center nurse for her wonderful service, and then I hopped over to Zappa Pico where Indigo told me that I had missed something. I was quite surprised at this considering that Zappa Pico had nothing in it, and I was pretty sure that I talked to everyone. And because it's such a small town, it didn't take me long to realize that I didn't really miss something. It's just that what I needed was to talk to this person who wanted to trade something for 10 Sinistea chips. I assumed in my first time through the town that she'd be giving me something like a pot to evolve the genuine Sinistea or something like that. And I hadn't found any wild Sinistea to that point, so I ignored her. And in fact, I still hadn't seen any wild Sinistea by the time I went back the second time. Thankfully, I'd battled a trainer that had one, so I was able to look up its location in the Pokédex, and it happened to be just outside of Zappa Pico. It seemed fortunate. And within just a few minutes of starting to look, Sinistea actually appeared on my map. So I knew that I was generally in the right area, but I know that the map isn't super reliable with that kind of thing. So I tried to be really thorough with where I was looking and going as far as I could while staying in the general area that was highlighted in the Pokédex, looking on top of the mounds and inside the pits, and I didn't have any luck. After over 15 minutes being in the right area and not finding a single Sinistea, I started to venture out a little bit further. I thought I must not be quite in the right place. I went to some nearby ruins that were not in the highlighted area, but the Pokédex said that it appears in ruins, and there weren't any ruins in that area that I was in, so I don't know, maybe that's where it'll show up, and still no luck there. And Indigo, who was helping me with the hints and then helping me figure out where Sinistea actually spawn, she found Sinistea in the area that I'd been looking before I did. It took me over 50 minutes of searching before I found the first Sinistea. Thankfully, once they started spawning, they weren't too rare, but because most of the Sinistea were only giving me 1 chip, it still took me another 15 minutes to finally collect just 10 chips. That was over an hour of searching total. But I got the malicious armor, and I evolved my Powerpuff into Ceruledge. Since the item was version exclusive, I thought I'd have to trade with someone to get the other armor or to get the other evolution. But my wonderful wife was ready. She already had a spare Charcadet already holding an auspicious armor, and she had already gotten a malicious armor from someone else, so I didn't have to get a second one to trade her. Thank you very much, honey. So we traded, and I evolved Riri into Armarouge. I'm not sure which one I like better. Both of them look very cool. I like both of them very much. They don't totally look like Pokemon, but they're cool, so I guess they get a pass for that. But honestly, the hassle and the time that it took to find the Sinistea to trade in for the item really dampened my enjoyment of finally seeing them. I was exhausted by the end of it. So maybe tomorrow I'll be able to look at them with fresh eyes and really appreciate the designs. I spent so long just going after this one evolution that I didn't even get to try the water gym, which was the main thing I wanted to do today. So I guess first thing tomorrow we'll be exploring Cascarafa and then challenging the gym. I hope you didn't have such a frustrating experience trying to get your Ceruledge. Indigo told me that it was easier for her because in Scarlet, apparently what you're collecting is Bronzor droppings, or whatever you want to call them. Bronzor being a Pokemon that's a lot easier to find than Sinistea was, and also not one that would mislead me into thinking that I'm trading those droppings for a specific item that I didn't need at the time. Anyway, thanks for listening. I'll see you in the next chapter.